Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to crochet what I call the pride dress, and it is a rainbow dress with little bow tie sleeves, and I made it rainbow in honor of Pride Month, which is June, which is this month, and the pride flag is rainbow, so I decided to make this dress rainbow too. So let's get straight into the video. So all of the yarn that I'm using today is Big Twist Value yarn, and that is a size 4 weight yarn, and the colors that I'm using are deep red, burnt orange, pale yellow, forest green, and cornflower blue. And then I didn't have a purple yarn of the same brand, so I'm using this one. I lost the yarn label, so I'm not sure where it's from, but it's the same size yarn and it's around the same texture. So I think it'll be fine and it'll fit in because I couldn't do a rainbow without purple. I am also using a J or 6mm crochet hook. And then you will also be needing a pair of scissors and a tapestry needle. So I'm going to be starting with the purple yarn because we are going from bottom to top, purple to red. And I'm going to just make a slip knot and then chain 19. And now that I have my 19 chains, I'm going to skip the first one and do a half double crochet in the second chain from the hook. And then I'm going to do 1 half double crochet in each stitch along after that, which will give you a total of 18 half double crochets since we skipped the first chain. So I'm going to come back here when I have finished my first row. Okay, so now I have finished that first row and we are going to be switching to blue now. So I'm going to grab the yarn at the end, just right where that stitch finishes off, and then I'm going to pull out the last stitch. And as you can see, there's like more yarn near my hand now. So I'm just going to cut off the yarn where my hand was holding it. This just makes sure that we know exactly where we need it to cut off to make the knot so that we're not trying to guess and it just looks more equal. So then I'm just going to grab the end of the blue yarn and I'm going to tie a knot as tightly as possible with the purple and the blue yarn together. And then as you can see, there are little tails on each side of the knot, so I'm just going to cut them as short as possible, but make sure you leave a little bit of a tail so that it won't fall out. But then I'm just going to grab my yarn and put my hook in the loop again, and I'm just going to redo that last stitch. And now as you can see, the yarn is exactly where it needs to be. And then after that, I'll just chain 1 and turn and continue doing this row with the blue yarn. And now that I've finished that second row, I'm just going to show you one more time the color change. So this time we are going to green. So I'm just going to grab the end of the yarn where it left off from that last stitch, and then I'm going to pull the stitch out, and I'm going to cut the yarn where my fingers were to make sure that it's the right amount of yarn for the last stitch. And then I'm going to just grab the end of my green yarn and tie it to the blue yarn as tightly as I can. And then I'll just grab my scissors and cut off the ends as much as possible so that the knot still stays in. Then I'll just redo that last stitch, chain 1 and turn, and then continue doing my row in green. And I'm going to do this for all of the colors of the rainbow. So I already did purple, blue, and I'm working on green, and then I'll do yellow, and then orange, and then red. And when you have finished doing 1 row for each of the colors of the rainbow, come back to this video so I can show you what we're going to do next. Okay, so as you can see, I have finished my first 6 rows, 1 for each color of the rainbow. And now you are going to repeat this pattern 3 more times, except you're not going to do a red as the last row, you'll do an orange. So you'll have 17 rows altogether. It will be purple, blue, green, yellow, orange, red, purple, green, blue, yellow, orange, red, purple, green, blue, yellow, orange. And then once you have that, I'm going to meet you back here so that I can show you what we're going to be doing next. Okay, so now I am back and I've completed my 17 rows. If you were a little unsure about the rows that we're doing, this is what it looks like. So it should be all of those rows times 3 except for the last red row. But I have already switched over to the red color because we are going to be using it, just not in a full row. We're going to be doing a little extend part in the middle for like the top of the dress because I don't want it to be just flat. So we are going to be starting by chaining 1 with the red and then doing a slip stitch in the first 2 stitches. And after that, you're going to switch over to half double crochets and do 1 half double crochet in each of the next 14 stitches. And when you've done these, you should have 2 stitches remaining in this entire row. After you've done that, you're going to chain 1 and turn, leaving those last 2 stitches of the full row behind, and then you'll do 1 half double crochet in each of the next 14 stitches. And then I'm going to repeat that row of chain 1, turn, and half double crochet in the next 14 stitches for 2 more rows after this one, for a total of 4 rows that are like that, including the first one where I did the slip stitches. So I'm going to meet you back here when I'm done doing that so that I can show you what we're going to do to finish off the front panel. And now I have finished those 4 rows, and this is what mine looks like. So you can see my 4 rows of red right there. So now what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to chain 20. So this is just going to be those little bow ties. So we're going to do this on the front and back panel on both sides. So then for the little sleeves, you can tie a bow, but that is what that is for. And then after that, I'm just going to cut a tail. It doesn't have to be too long because we're going to be cutting it off anyways, but long enough to pull through the loop. And then after I have done that, I'm going to pull it as tight as I possibly can to make the tightest knot that I can. And then I'm going to just grab my scissors and cut as close as I can to the knot while still leaving a little bit of yarn so that the knot does not unravel and so that the chains stay in place. And I found that this is the neatest way to keep chains in place since you can't really weave in the end into the chains. So now what we are going to be doing is we're going to be doing the same thing to the other side. So I'm just going to grab my hook and put it in the last stitch on the other side. And then I'm just going to grab my yarn and pull up a loop. And then I'm going to chain 1 with both ends of the yarn, and after that I'm just going to drop the shorter one and keep going with the one that is connected to the full ball of yarn. And then I'm just going to chain 19 more, which will bring me to a total of 20 chains, just like the other side. And here I have my 20 chains, so now I'm going to be doing the same thing as the other side. Just going to cut a short tail and pull through the loop, and then I'm going to pull the knot as tightly as I possibly can, and then I'll cut off most of the tail but leave a small one so that the knot does not come undone. And now to finish off the front panel, we are going to be sewing in the end. So there are only 2. There's the one from when we put on the new chains on the other side, and then the one from the bottom where we started. So you are just going to grab your tapestry needle and weave those in for a nice clean finish on this piece. And once you have finished that, you are done with the front panel. Okay, so now we are starting on the back of the dress. So what you're going to do is you are going to make a slip knot and then chain 21. And here I have finished my 21 chains, so I'm going to skip the first one and do a half double crochet in the second chain from the hook, and then I'm going to do a half double crochet in each of the remaining stitches, which will give you a total of 20 half double crochets altogether. So the front panel and the back panel are pretty similar, just like the measurements are a little bit different because the back has to be a little wider. You can probably guess that next we're going to be switching to blue and then green, then yellow, and then orange and then red. And so it's pretty much the same thing, but just the measurements are different. So if you've already done the front panel, then the back should be very, very easy. Okay, so here is my first row finished, and just like the front panel, we are just going to grab the end of the yarn and pull out that last stitch, and then just cut where we were holding the yarn, and then grab the blue yarn and tie a knot with the blue and the purple to connect the blue, and then you'll just redo that last stitch, chain one and turn, and then start doing the row in blue, and then you're just going to repeat the rainbow pattern just like the front panel of purple, blue, green, yellow, orange, red 3 times, except for the last one you're just going to do purple, blue, green, yellow, orange without the red. So there will be 17 rows all together. So I'm going to meet you back here when I'm done with all of those rows so that I can show you what we're going to do differently for the back, because it won't be the same as the front panel since it's a little bit wider. Okay, so I am back and this is what mine looks like. It looks almost the same as last time except just a little bit wider, but I've already gone ahead and attached my red yarn, and now we are going to be using it to create that little raised part in the middle, which will make the final back of the dress as well as the armholes. So I'm going to chain one and turn with my red yarn, and then I'm going to do a slip stitch in each of the first 2 stitches. And then after that, I'm going to do 1 half double crochet in each of the next 16 stitches. And once you have those 16 half double crochets done, you should have 2 stitches remaining in that full row. But now I'm going to do a chain one and turn. And then I'm going to do 1 half double crochet in each of the next 16 stitches right on top of the ones that I just did. And I'm going to repeat this row of chain one, turn, and do half double crochet 16 for 2 more rows after this one, which will give me a total of 4 rows of that, including the first one with the slip stitches in the beginning. So I'm going to meet you back here when I have finished those 4 rows to show you what we're going to do after that. Okay, and now I finished those 4 rows, and this is what mine looks like. So what I'm going to be doing now is, just like the other side, I'm going to be chaining 20 for those little bow ties on the sleeves. And then I'm just going to cut a tail and pull through the loop, and then I'm going to pull the knot as tightly as I possibly can. And then after that, I'll just cut the shortest tail possible, but there still has to be a small tail so that nothing unravels. But yeah. But now we're going to be doing the chains on the other side. So you're going to put your hook in the first stitch on the other side without the chains. And then you're just going to grab your yarn and pull up a loop. After that, you're going to do 1 chain with both strands of yarn. And then you'll just drop the one that isn't connected to the ball of yarn and do 19 more chains with the one that is. And when you finish that, you'll have 20 chains all together. So now you're just going to cut a tail and pull through the loop on your hook. Then you'll just pull the piece of yarn as tightly as you possibly can so that the knot does not come undone when your doll is wearing the dress. And then you will just cut off most of that yarn, still leaving a little bit so that it doesn't come undone. And then to finish off the back, we are just going to be weaving in the 2 strands of yarn that we have. So there's the one from where we connected the second thing of chains, and then there's the one from the beginning when we started crocheting. So I'm just going to grab my tapestry needle and weave both of those in real quick, and that will finish off the back. And then next we are going to get into sewing the pieces together to create an actual dress that your doll can wear. Okay, so here I am. I have both of my front and back panels here. So you can tell that this one is the front because it's a little bit less wide than the back. But now we're going to be sewing these sides together to make it into an actual dress. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to align these sides together so that the stripes are like going in one straight line. And then I'm just going to grab my tapestry needle and some yarn. I'm just using red, but it doesn't really matter what color you use. You could even use like white or black so that it shows a little bit less. But I just decided to use red. So then I'm just going to be using the mattress stitch to sew both of the sides together. And if you don't know how to do the mattress stitch, I will link a tutorial in the description. But anyways, I'm going to just go up along this side, and I'm going to go up until those red rows at the top. So I'm going to do the first 17 rows because those ones we're going to leave like that for the armhole. That's why we did the slip stitches, so that it would leave space for the armhole for her arms. But yeah, and I'm just going to continue sewing down that first side, connecting the two pieces together until I reach the end at the last orange row like I just showed you. And then when I reach that spot, I will show you what we're going to be doing next. And as for the ends, when you finish, you could weave them in if you want to, but I'm lazy and I just cut them short after tying a knot because they are on the inside so no one will see it. But if you wanted to be neater, you could actually weave them in. And here I have finished sewing those first sides together. And then as you can see, the side where we just did the stitches on is the bad side because you can see more of the yarn, while this other side is the good side because you can't really see the stitches as much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this over in half, making sure the bad side is facing out first. And then I'm just going to start stitching those two sides together, so that will create a full like tube for the dress. So we already have that other side sewn together, and now we're going to be sewing this side together. So I am just doing the mattress stitch once again, aligning up the rows with the right color stripe and stuff. And yeah, it's just pretty much the exact same thing as what we did before. And then once you have finished all of your sewing and everything is all nice and neat, you're just going to turn your work to be right sides out because it was inside out before. And then here is what mine looks like, and this is the finished dress. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you liked it, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I just want to remind you to always treat everybody with love and respect and kindness. And anyways, I will see you in my next video. Happy Pride Month.